It could have been anyone, the redstone genius, the deadliest warrior, or the peaceful player, but they chose him, the immortal demon. But why? We'll find out in this video, so watch until the end and let's get it started. Let's go back to the first season, when FlameFrags was still serving princeism. As we know, FlameFrags was at the beginning of the Empire, and we know that he was the Empire's primary defense, because according to main pair he is one of the strongest players in the Empire. But he sometimes doesn't understand Zam, because of his inflated ego, but he also realizes that he's doing well as long as the Empire lives. That's why he listens to Zam, because he sees him as a worthy leader. But why he joined the Empire? I think the answer is obvious, because of the resource. Before the mafia destroyed all the resources, Zam and others had a convincing enough amount of resources to build their empires. And as we know, empires need warriors. Princeism is not very good at PvP, so he called FlameFrags and main pair to help him out. Interestingly enough, the armor he wore in Zam's empire, he still wears it in his new videos, even when he was taken into mafia's custody. I guess he misses those days, when he and main pair ruled the world under the Empire. The Empire literally gave him everything he wanted: armor, housing, and identity. But you know what it didn't give him? Status. And that's where the mafia came in. They gave FlameFrags diamond trim player status, which is one of the strongest in the organization. What's interesting is that all of the diamond trim players have a mace, except FlameFrags, which further emphasizes his specialty, because according to him, he considers the use of such weapons as a weakness, so he doesn't use them. Instead, he uses a sword. But what happened to him after the war? That's what we'll find out by watching his POV. In his first video, we can see that he's still wearing his mafia armor, which means that these events take place after the war, which means that Flame is in great danger, because he's being hunted by half the server after what he did during the war, and we know who ended that war. That's why we're seeing them in this video, while also to make interaction between the old characters and the new one, but he successfully defeats them. Unlike our trio, who formed partners in the beginning, we get a dog instead, and instead of a good arc, we get an action arc. Well, I'm satisfied, but I'm not satisfied that they didn't tell us anything about Jaden in the beginning. They just kind of cut him off, so his betrayal arc doesn't work properly. It's like the Rejoice arc on a larger scale. But I want to point out how FlameFrags is improving in the telling of his stories. He does some action at first and then turns it into a coherent story. What I also want to point out is his action. Unlike Wemu, who uses mace, which speeds up player kills by half, FlameFrags uses his sword to show everything accurately and without mistakes. As far as I'm concerned, each of these styles are good in their own ways. In the end, FlameFrags meets his consequences in the form of Wemu. In his new video, he meets a mysterious player who turns out to be Spoke, who talks FlameFrags into doing his tasks for resources. He naturally agrees, and on the way he encounters ruined cities. As you might have guessed, it ruined by Wemu, who wants to kill FlameFrags, and he fails, but succeeds in undermining his status and his chestplate. At the end we see that Flame wants revenge on Wemu, which I think will happen in the future. But in the meantime, we have to figure it out. Why did he become the protagonist of Unstable Universe? And I have 3 reasons. The first reason: FlameFrags is similar to Wemu. Like Wemu, he uses fights instead of story. Instead of a good staged scene, he uses epic moments, and he interacts with him a lot, unlike the other Unstable Universe members, which makes sense to me, since their stories are interconnected, and they are somewhat similar to each other. Just like Parrot is similar to Spoke. Just look at the title of this livestream. It isn't a nonsense. Spoke is connected with Parrot because they rely more on intelligence, and FlameFrags is connected with Wemu because they rely on PvP, which makes sense to me. But there's a second reason for that. The second reason: his character is different from all the main characters in the Unstable Universe. He's not as unsentimental as Wemu. He's not as crazy as Spoke, and not as heroic as Parrot. He meets all the characters to show how different he is with his character. He doesn't need help from others, so he's solo. Even if he meets any friend, it doesn't end up lasting long. He doesn't kill for no reason, but only if they made that reason themselves. And we can understand that he's in his redemption arc, which is understandable since he wasn't the main face of the previous season. Third reason: FlameFrags made himself the main character. His activity on the channel, as well as his connection with other Unstable members, did the trick, and Parrot and the others decided to let his adventure show itself. We have not once seen the POVs of the other members, but they are just part of the story. I understand why they add new main character to expand the universe, so we should expect a lot of interactions with the new characters. After all, his new stories are just fine. Maybe it's a taste thing, but purely I like the way FlameFrags tells us stories. Tells with mistakes, but he tells them. I'm waiting for his stories to continue and for his second season finale. If you finished this video, thank you so much. You can watch my other videos right here, if they're out, of course, and if they're not out, you can subscribe and wait for them to come out. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.